Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm Sheriff Tina Nieto, and I want to thank you for coming here today to talk about the recent events here in Monterey County and upcoming plan and rain events we expect over the next few days. Folks, we are not done yet. We are dealing with rain and wind events that I can only describe as a super soaker saturation event. Hashtag SUSOSAT. Since the beginning of the year, we have been dealing with these rain and wind events, and I would like to thank the community for their patience as conditions change, sometimes very rapidly. We have issued evacuation warnings and orders throughout our county during this past month and last month based on information provided by our government partners and community partners for the community safety. We got lucky last month when the flooding occurred only in sparsely populated areas of our county. And because of this, we can all start to experience what I call storm warning fatigue. Please do not ignore our warnings and orders. When we issue these warnings and orders, no matter what the chances are, when it happens to you, it happens 100% to you. Last night and today, Public Safety and County Resources had to conduct over 90 rescues. So please prepare to leave when you are under a warning, and please evacuate if you're given an evacuation order. If you see a close sign, turn around, don't drown. If you want more information on how to prepare for storm and for winter storm safety, go to the Monterey County website. We have a lot of information up there, folks. And I'm going to just give you an example. In Pajaro, folks have asked, how many people do we have assigned to this event in the water rescues? Because we're still conducting them now as we're speaking today. So for the Monterey County Sheriffs, we have 5 members from our dive team right now out doing rescues. We have high water vehicles from our National Guard. Currently, we're using 3 of them. We have 1 on standby because, again, this is the entire county that's involved in this event. Search and rescue for the sheriffs, we have 9 members, and we will be bringing on personnel at night, too, to cover the night areas. Monterey County Sheriffs has performed over 6 drone flights to check our rivers and waterways. CAL FIRE has done 4 drone flights. We have extra patrol out in both South and North County to help with the road closures and also to help do public safety checks for areas that we have closed. We have help right now from the Salinas SWAT team. We've got Swiftwater Rescue out of an OES team, and they'll be here overnight. We also have C-team people who are assigned to this event. We've been lucky so far. We've had no injuries and no deaths in our county. Although in some of our cities, we did have a fireman who was hurt when a tree fell on him, and so our prayers are out to him and to his city. Again, we've had 90 rescues since this event started just overnight. We've done 15 to 20 rescues by boat. We even rescued a man floating down one of the areas in a tube with his pet on top of him. We've done several rescues with our high water vehicles. And in South County, we performed 1 air rescue for a subject who was stranded in the middle of the river near Jolin Road, northbound Highway 101 on ramp H70. Look, the Pajaro River has breached. We all know that. The city of Pajaro, or the community of Pajaro, is flooded. Please do not go into those areas. I have other speakers behind me, and I'll be happy to answer more specific questions about rescues and what's going on with the county, but I want to give some time to our other speakers. Following me is Captain Ian Truxler from the California Highway Patrol.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Captain Ian Troxel of the California Highway Patrol, Monterey Area Command. First and foremost, our hearts are out to the community of Pajaro for this disaster that they've faced. Since the community of Pajaro flooded overnight, first responders have been working together to keep you and your community safe as possible. In Monterey County, we will need your help throughout the next few days. As the sheriff just said, this is going to continue, and we need your assistance to be prepared for that. You will see many, many road closure signs. Please adhere to these signs, as it is a safety issue for you and your families. Please abide by the signs that are posted and do not drive through road closures. We've already conducted many rescues from vehicles stuck in flooded waters. I want to thank the Pajaro community for their support and patience through this difficult time. The California Highway Patrol is dedicated to assisting our public safety partners. The Monterey area is committed to working alongside all of our allied agencies. If you have any questions or you need further information, please go onto our Facebook page, Monterey California Highway Patrol, our Twitter account, Monterey California Highway Patrol, and our Instagram page. You can find information there on current road closures and situational awareness to prepare for these storms. If you have any questions, please contact our office here in Monterey. I just want to thank the Sheriff's Department and all of our allied agencies as we move forward through this disaster.
Thank you, Captain. I'll now be followed by Lou Bauman from Water Resources Agency.
Good afternoon, everybody. And let me reiterate what the commander and the sheriff have indicated. First and foremost, our hearts go out to all the families and the businesses and the individuals impacted by flooding from San Ardo all the way to Pajaro. This has been a significant event for our county, and you can be assured that the county will put all its resources in to ensure the well-being of these individuals. What I'd like to do this afternoon is give a brief update on the Pajaro levee failure, as well as some projected flows from the Salinas River that we expect in the coming week. As everybody is now well aware, the levee at Pajaro breached. It breached last evening around midnight, following a heroic effort by our staff to fight that flood event. Unfortunately, they were overwhelmed by the flows coming down that watershed, and the river breached a portion near River Mile 10 on the eastern portion of the riverbed, and it's approximately a 120-foot breach. It continues to flow. It will flow uncontrolled until we are able to secure that with interim protective measures. The state of California Department of Water Resources is currently en route with their contractor to formulate a mitigation plan that will require not only access, but appropriate materials and construction technologies to close that breach. Until then, there will be continued flows in the appropriate emergency response. Moving to the Salinas River watershed, keeping in mind that the Salinas River watershed is over 4,000 square miles. It's larger than the county itself. It's a very broad and complex watershed, and as we'll hear from the Weather Service, their role is to model the rainfall conditions, the stream flow conditions, the groundwater conditions, and project as scientifically as they can the projected stream flows. And as we saw in January, we had very high stream flows at the upper reaches of the watershed, and fortunately they were significantly reduced by the time they reached the Spreckles metering station in Salinas. This year, due to as you can imagine, the infiltration, the wet soils, we expect less infiltration of waters, and we expect them to move faster into the community. The current hydrograph, and again, a hydrograph is a plot of the water flow as a result of time, and as it moves down the river, it moves, if you will, in a hump, and what we are focused on is the peak of that hump, which represents the maximum flow rate that will be coming down the river. So in your mind's eye, you can imagine the hump moving from San Ardo down through the South City communities and coming into Salinas and ultimately to the river. So our current forecast has peak flows at the Spreckles station coming on Tuesday, very high levels at what they call stage 28. Again, I want to reiterate, this is a model. It's based on a variety of assumptions, and the Weather Service will be updating this probably 8 to 10 times before Tuesday. So these are very preliminary numbers, and we hope that those projected flows are less than currently projected. Let me just briefly, we've received a lot of questions of when will it hit, when will we get evacuation notices, evacuation orders. Again, it's very dynamic, and we're working with the EOC and the Sheriff's Office and our other teams. Let me just give you some preliminary data based on the current information we have from the National Weather Service in terms of the peaks. So from Paso Robles all the way down to the King City pedestrian bridge, the peak has arrived. So our next concern is when will the peak flows reach Soledad? It's currently forecasted on March 12th at 11 a.m., Chular on the 13th at 10 a.m., and Spreckles on the 14th at 4 a.m. Again, these are forecasted. We'll be watching these very closely. And based on that information, the Sheriff's Office will issue warnings and ultimately evacuation orders as necessary. The most important thing is for individuals and businesses to take this information seriously, to look at these projected times, make contingency plans for your business, for your family, and take the appropriate steps. We will be coming forward with that, but again, we wanted to give you an idea of the time frame and what to expect. So look for further information, and we will be available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So currently evacuation orders are in the areas of Arroyo Seco. That was effective immediately March 10th. The Pajaro community, that was effective immediately March 10th. San Ardo, that went into effect today. We have evacuation warnings in these locations, areas of Carmel Valley, areas of North Salinas, areas of Bolsonols, Carmel River Lagoon area, Big Sur River, and all areas of the Salinas River. And again, please go to the Monterey County website for the latest maps to see where the evacuation warnings and the evacuation orders are. With that, I'd like to introduce David King from the National Weather Service.
Thank you, Sheriff. David King, National Weather Service, Bay Area. Just a quick recap of our current hazards. We have a flood warning in place for the area of the Pajaro River due to the ongoing impacts for their flooding. We also have a flood warning for the Salinas River in the southern part of that county because we are still experiencing that river at flood stage. And obviously you just heard from Lou Bauman that we are closely monitoring the Salinas River at Spreckles, and we are expecting it to enter flood stage just after midnight on Monday, reaching its peak later on in the week. In terms of a current forecast, this weekend is a very brief respite. Mild temperatures will prevail with lightly scattered showers here and there over the weekend. However, the weather will turn expected Monday night. We are forecasting another atmospheric river to impact the Bay Area and Monterey itself. The confidence has already grown so that we've issued a flood watch for this atmospheric river as well as a high wind watch for this atmospheric river. Those watches begin on Monday at 10 p.m. and go all the way through Wednesday at 4 a.m. We are in close proximity with our county partners, so they have the latest and greatest information as these dynamic forecasts do change. However, given the close proximity of this atmospheric river to the last one that we just received a few days ago, the ground is incredibly saturated, as are the trees. It will not take much to knock down trees and cause power outages. Flooding is expected. If you come across flooded roadways, please remember, turn around, don't drown. And most importantly, we do urge the public to listen to your county officials with their information that they come out with, as well as their warning. And for any updated information to our forecast, you can receive it at weather.gov/Bay Area, and you can follow us on social media at NWS Bay Area. I'll turn it over to Sonia De La Rosa, the County Administrative Officer.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon and taking time out of your day to listen to some of the updates that we have for you. Our focus since yesterday has been the preservation of life and safety for all individuals that are in flood zones. And we have been awake with you, to all of you that are experiencing the impacts of these floods. We are watching them closely with you and also helping with the sheltering throughout this county. Currently, we are setting up a couple more shelters that are closer to your homes and closer to your communities. And we have quite a few disaster service workers out in the community that are helping support folks on site. We, again, focused on extraordinary efforts, saving lives and property of those in the Pajaro and San Ardo area. Most importantly, life and the preservation also of animals for those individuals that are having to be relocated. Our water resources staff has been flood fighting, as was explained by Lou Bauman, and this has been going on pretty much since January, and even before that. We knew that there were a couple areas that needed to be fixed. There was reinforcement that was already applied, and even with that, the water was so much stronger coming through, and we continue to watch that as we see these different peaks come throughout the entire valley. Emergency staff is also working 24 hours. Many of the folks that are here manning the operations center and also throughout the community have been awake for over 24 hours supporting our community. We've added particular shifts in different areas to make sure that individuals are also able to rest at different times. Our emergency staff and the responders are going to remain alert as we anticipate this atmospheric river that's coming. And to the community, please continue to be aware. Please be aware of the dangers of going around certain barricades. I mean, it may look like the road is safe to travel, but the reality is that under the road has been undermined, and we're looking at areas where you could fall as much as 40 feet. And that is something that truly could be avoided. Do not go around the barricades. Do not move the barricades. And if there is blockage of any kind, please heed that and do not go into those areas. Again, we are continuing to monitor as we prep for the next storm. Be safe out there. Be aware. If it's not passable, do not attempt to do that. Otherwise, we'll be out there with you again, trying to save those that you have with you and yourselves. And in many instances, your car is not safe either. It could be moved by water as well. We have reached out to resources, both of our state and federal partners. Our legislators are working with us to make sure that our resources requests are being addressed quickly. We have individuals from the coalition working with our homeless population as well to ensure that they're safe, and also many individuals that have come in and asked us for shelter assistance. Our board members are out in the community. Joining us here today is Supervisor Askew. Our 4 supervisors not present today, each of them are out in their communities addressing different issues. Again, some power outages, some roads impacted, but also a lot of flooding throughout our community. For those shelters that we have set up, we have partnerships both with our nonprofit providers, but also many, many county workers that are out in the community and filling in as emergency disaster workers. We know that lives have been impacted. Many of the people that we work with live alongside you and had to be evacuated as well. So we are very much aware, and our hearts are with all of you as we move through this and then look towards recovery. But as we do that, again, please be mindful of the emergency that are out there, and also please stop at traffic lights. Many folks are seeing it and not stopping just unconsciously. Please have that awareness. And for areas that were impacted by power outages, we will be pushing out information through our social media to remind people to look at your food because some of it may no longer be okay to eat. In San Ardo and Pajaro, the water is not drinkable, so we are already working to try to get water out into those areas. So again, just be mindful of some of those things, and as you walk back into your home and things are still wet, again, just keep in mind some of those safety, and we'll try to push more information. So visit our websites. We're translated into different languages of both Spanish and then Mixteco audio so that folks are able to hear it. And then with our community partners, we'll be able to get even more information out there. So following me is Daniel Gonzalez, who will provide a statement also in Spanish for our community.
So, yeah, I have one more thing to add. Thank you, CAO. And this is from the SPCA. And so the SPCA is available for rescue and shelter evacuated animals. They also provide free pet food and supplies to anyone who needs assistance during this disaster. And they are basically responding right now to rescued pets in the Pajaro area and the San Ardo area. If you find a rescued pet or come across a rescued pet, you can bring that rescued pet to the Pajaro Bridge at Porter and San Juan. They have personnel with sheriff's personnel to take that pet, or you can take that animal to the Pajaro Valley Country Club golf course. For more information, you can call 831-373-2631 during the day or 831-646-5534 during the evening for emergency assistance, or you can visit the spcamc.org website for information on what to do with the pet or how to prepare for disaster. With that, I'll be followed by Daniel Gonzalez for the Spanish interpretation.
Good afternoon, Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel Gonzalez, Sheriff Nieto, and our CAO, Sonia, indicated. I work for the Department of Emergency Management. I am an emergency services planner, and I'm going to be providing the summary in Spanish of the press conference. I'm going to translate what Sheriff Nieto indicated earlier. Ahora voy a hablar en español, voy a hacer la traducción, un resumen de la traducción de lo que se ha comentado en esta conferencia de prensa. Voy a iniciar con lo indicado por la Sheriff Nieto cuando empezó la conferencia. Primero que nada, una bienvenida a todas las personas que están aquí y gracias por acompañarnos. Estamos aquí para hablar sobre los eventos recientes que han sucedido en el condado de Monterey y los planes que tenemos para las lluvias que se esperan sobre los próximos días. Aún no terminamos, esto todavía no termina. Estamos tratando de trabajar con lluvia y viento y con eventos que solo se pueden describir como eventos de saturación de agua extremos. Desde el principio del año hemos estado tratando con estas condiciones de lluvia y viento, estas tormentas, y nos gustaría que la comunidad tenga paciencia porque estas condiciones cambian rápidamente. Hemos tenido y emitido órdenes de evacuación a lo largo de nuestro condado en estos últimos meses. Y basado en la información que tenemos, hemos emitido las órdenes, la información que hemos recibido de todas las agencias del orden público que están proporcionando información. En el mes pasado tuvimos suerte, no hubo inundaciones. Esto hizo que muchas de las personas no estén acatando las órdenes esta vez. Como sabemos, en Pajaro la situación está empeorando, entonces estamos pidiendo a la comunidad que hagan caso a las órdenes de evacuación cuando se emiten. Porque cuando nos suceden las cosas, a nosotros mismos nos impacta al 100%. Entre la noche de ayer y el día de hoy, hemos estado trabajando para llevar a cabo más de 90 rescates, así que por favor, prepárense para salir cuando haya una orden o una advertencia de evacuación. Si ve señalamientos en las carreteras de inundación, dése la vuelta, no se ahogue. Para más información, por favor, visite nuestros sitios de internet de la página del Condado de Monterrey y la página del Departamento de Manejo de Emergencias. Para hablar solo un poquito sobre los recursos que se han utilizado, tenemos ahorita un equipo de buzos que está haciendo rescates. Tenemos 5 miembros que han llevado a cabo 9 rescates y también aparte tenemos un equipo de búsqueda y rescate de 9 miembros que estará trabajando noche y día en el condado. Nuestro dron ha hecho 6 vuelos y el dron del Cal Fire ha hecho 4 vuelos para recibir información adecuada sobre las condiciones del dique en Pajaro que está sucediendo en este momento. Ahora voy a hablar un poquito sobre lo que indicó el señor de Recursos Hídricos del condado. Primero que nada, nos gustaría dar las condolencias a todas las familias del condado que están sufriendo por estos problemas, sobre todo en San Nardo y el pueblo de Pajaro. Como ya todos sabemos, el dique de Pajaro se rompió ayer por la noche a las 12 de la medianoche y teníamos personal trabajando en el área, pero llegó al punto de que era muy peligroso para ellos seguir trabajando y tuvimos que sacarlos de ahí. El dique se rompió con una extensión de 100 pies de apertura, la cual continúa fluyendo hacia la población de Pajaro. Hemos estado tratando de controlar el flujo de la inundación, pero no hemos podido resolverlo. El río de Salinas también es otro problema que vamos a estar teniendo en los próximos días. El río de Salinas tiene aproximadamente 400 millas cuadradas y los ingenieros están tratando de proyectar y pronosticar el flujo de agua que va a existir en estos días, sobre todo por el problema de los suelos saturados que estamos teniendo por las tormentas que pasamos en estos meses. Esto hará que el agua fluya más rápido y se espera que el pico del nivel del agua llegue a 27.8 pies de altura al llegar al nivel en la población de Spreckles. Estaremos proporcionando más información para la población en cuanto la tengamos más vigente. Como ya todos sabemos, la situación actual en el dique de Pajaro fue que el dique, como ya lo indiqué, se rompió la noche del viernes 10 de marzo, 10 millas antes de la comunidad de Pajaro. Perdón, cerca de la milla 10 de la comunidad del Pajaro. Actualmente la brecha tiene aproximadamente 100 pies y los ingenieros estatales y locales están trabajando para solucionar el problema. Hemos estado haciendo notificaciones puerta a puerta que se llevaron a cabo aproximadamente el día de ayer a las 3 de la tarde para contactar a los residentes y darles información sobre las advertencias de evacuación y las órdenes de evacuación y pedirles que salieran en ese momento. Desafortunadamente, como sabemos, se dio la ruptura del dique y tuvimos que hacer las evacuaciones de manera forzada con la comunidad. Algunos residentes fueron evacuados en la noche, pero incluso no abandonaron el área. El día de hoy hemos estado teniendo varios refugios abiertos donde hemos estado recibiendo a la población. Aproximadamente hemos recibido en los diferentes refugios, tenemos... Do we have the numbers of the shelter population? I thought we did. Oh, here. There it is. En los diferentes refugios tenemos que en la iglesia Compás tenemos 27 personas que están siendo asistidas. En los terrenos de la Feria de Santa Cruz tenemos 39 personas que están recibiendo servicios y en Sherwood Hall 35 personas que están recibiendo servicios. Ok, en total tenemos 5 refugios abiertos en el área. Tenemos refugios abiertos en Seaside, en Salinas, en Greenfield, en Castroville y también tenemos centros de asistencia de evacuación temporal en las diferentes bibliotecas de Prundale, Carmel Valley y King City. Entonces, estamos tratando de proporcionar la mayor asistencia que se pueda a la comunidad para que tengan un espacio donde asistir de forma segura con sus familias y puedan obtener un alimento, oportunidad de bañarse, tener donde estar durante este periodo de tiempo. Actualmente también tenemos varias órdenes de evacuación que siguen vigentes hasta este momento. Tenemos órdenes de evacuación para las áreas de Arroyo Seco, que están vigentes desde el 10 de marzo. Para la comunidad de Pajaro, como ya lo sabemos por las evacuaciones que están sucediendo, sigue vigente. Y también en Sanardo están órdenes de evacuación vigentes. Actualmente tenemos órdenes de advertencias de evacuación en el área del río de Salinas, que estamos esperando en los próximos días suba. Entonces, las poblaciones que viven o que están a un lado del río de Salinas van a estar recibiendo advertencias de inundación. Sorry, no ven. A la comunidad nos gustaría dar el siguiente mensaje. Por favor, sigan siendo conscientes de la peligrosa situación climática en la que nos encontramos. Estas tormentas no han terminado. Manténganse alerta, infórmense y sigan los mensajes de seguridad que se les van a dar. Por favor, regístrese en alertmonterreycounty.org, el sistema de alerta del Condado de Monterrey, para recibir mensajes y notificaciones sobre las emergencias que estamos teniendo. Como ya lo mencioné, hay albergues en Watsonville, en los terrenos de la Feria de Santa Cruz. También hay albergues en el condado de Monterey, en Salinas, Seaside, Castroville y Greenfield. Los centros de evacuación temporales son muy importantes en la ciudad de King City, Carmel Valley y Prunedale. Les agradecemos todo su apoyo y resiliencia durante estos momentos difíciles y seguiremos trabajando juntos para salir adelante. Muchas gracias. Me falta un mensaje sobre el SPCA. Nos gustaría dar un mensaje. Si tienen animales o ganado y necesitan evacuarlos o movilizarlos, contacten a las oficinas del SPCA que les pueden ayudar a albergar a sus animales y a rescatarlos durante estas condiciones difíciles. Por favor, llame al 831-373-2631 durante las horas de oficina o después de horario de oficina, llame al 831-646-5534 para que les puedan proporcionar asistencia y movilizar a sus animales. Actualmente hay 7 perros, un gato, 11 gallinas que fueron evacuadas durante este periodo. Se está proporcionando alimento gratuito para los animales y especialmente para los animales que viven en el área de Pajaro. Por favor, si necesitan este servicio, contacten a los oficiales del SPCA. Muchas gracias.
Why didn't I have that? I'd like to introduce now Leonor Mendoza from the Community Action Board to provide information in Mixteco.
It's okay. It's like this.
Okay.
Den skundo ña Quijico, ña Leonor Mendoza, la Yuquichon cuenta ña Consejo de Acción Comunitario, ña Condado, ña Santa Cruz, Kira. Raña tashi echa información ña cuenta ña Cubi, ña mi pájaro, yo, acá no coinindoch ña bichavi ya. Tacuña, si mi información ya yo raña cónica china ya, ña Condado, ña Monterey, ya ña. Takusha mi kuya yora kisha kumi sahbi kun siera la kanan sieti mita chivara rata kunya konikisha inundar baña yoho kishika chisa taraña ka takubiti shantie kun sahvira y yo tinu kachina casa evacuar nara sabana jivira konitani na raña koni kunda inindo ya ato tashantia ka kundora y yo takunya señalamiento kachina contra letrero kachiña kiaña ña nuña tiani cara ki vindo inimi ikan kavando kundo chinukara nya tato bakono banyura ikan nya kakuti takunya dron basto nya shako bakami nya cuenta nya pájaro miña río nya pájaro raña tieta shikilo ka información nya cuenta nya pájaro takumi ichara nya pájaro rakoba sabanyura square miña mikoni Rakoba ushimilla shika iyo nuña nuni nishona mitkui. Rataku cuenta mina ingeniero ña estatal ra local ra nashto ni na shakoba kami karaña ka nishana kachtu una shajibi tayuyena nishana sakashana raña ra kana shina ña tanina. Raña tashitina ña aviso ña emergencia antavana. Taku cuenta ña sheriff na kakutishana ña rescate tabana mina jibira kobasha koba 60 bina ña rescate shi y yo. Ratuka kuti carro tu sokuchaba ña cuenta ña tabana ña jibi minu hutskui. Saba mina jibira na kisha evacuar na konira ña y yo tuna ni tani baraña kabiti kakuna chintiena na kanana. Tuka kuti cuenta ña vas tu MST kachna sora tuka kutaba na jibira ña shana ntiakana ña ntia refugio shiniñuna ra to shiniñundo takuntia ña cuenta ña asistencia ña emergencia ra ña bakayana kundo nantu kundo takuña albergue ña kundor ña chintienanto ra ña yo ya kuña cuenta ña Sanardo takumi ña ichara ña Salinas ra ña cuenta ña Sanardo ra ña Satiani ya ña comunidad kan Tiaña y yo ña orden ña evacuación ña anamiña ñu kachtuna shina. Sati takuña orden ña evacuación kaya koni kachaku ña shini ñu tanindora ña y yo ya ña cuenta ña arroyo seco ra ushimarzo kisha. Ña y yo te ña cuenta ña pájaro ra ushimarzo kisha te akaba. Ña y yo te ña Sanardo ra bici ña tashina ña orden ka. Tiaña y yo takuña Advertencia kachina carña kayakoni kachitun una shintoña ko evacuación. Takuña área ña Carmel. Rasati bici ña Ushimarzo kishaka araña cuenta ña norte ña Salinas ra y marzo yaka. Ñeyo kain katukia ña río ña Big Sur raña Ushimarzo te acaba. Ya taku tike kachitundo shintoncia ña taku nuillo ña refugio ña kukundo.
No quiero que te caigas.
Okay. Ña ello y ña cuenta ña refugio a toshini ñundo kundo ña cuenta ña Watsonville raña ello ya 26 East Lake ña Watsonville. Ña ello tinka tukia ña Iglesia de la Brújula 10-325 Main Street ra Salinas yakan. Ña ello inka tukia taku ña cuenta ña temporal tamilla chitkia kukundo ña biblioteca ña naka Prundel. Ña ello ti biblioteca ña Carmel Valley a toshini ñundo kundo. Sati biblioteca ña King City 406 Broadway Street ya. Ña yo ti Sherwood Hall 940 North Main Street ña Salinas. Raña kakachtundu ña yo información tashindunda andora rakunciando mindora tashini ñun chando kundo ña cuenta ña refugio ña emergencia ra kundo ña chiñaka ya bachaka chincien andora fácil chaka chincien ando ika teshabindo.
With that, we'll take any questions from the press.
How long do you think it's going to take to stop the breach? What's the estimate?
At this time, we do not have a precise estimate on what it will take to stop the breach. As I indicated earlier, we have the State of California Department of Water Resources flood control experts on site. They will deploy their contractor. One of the challenges is to determine the appropriate mitigation, whether that be super sacks or riprap or rock. They'll also have to determine available access to the site. And furthermore, they have a very short time frame before the next storm comes forward and additional flows come down the river. So until then, it is an uncontrolled flow.
The last time this happened, I was told in the 90s. How long did it take then? Do you know?
That was in 95, and I don't immediately have that information.
Question. What is the reason the levee broke? Was there some type of flood wall that failed, or what caused the levee break?
Quite simply, the magnitude of the flows. The levee did experience boils and overtopping locations as we experienced in January, both on the Santa Cruz side and the Monterey side. This time, the exact mode of failure is yet to be fully determined, but it certainly was difficult in the wee hours of the evening to determine precisely the mode of failure.
And another question too. I know we don't have an estimated time for when the levee will be repaired, but the water that's on the streets, what's the plan to remove that water, pump that water out, so people can at least go back to their homes? Or is that even possible?
Again, it's a tremendous volume of water. It continues to accumulate as we speak. There is drainage on the western side of the community. There are a number of culverts that would provide an outlet for the water, and I understand the water also flows down the railroad tracks towards the upper reaches of the Elkhorn Slough, but it will take some time, particularly with repeated rain events, for the area to dry.
How worried are you about this next storm? It sounds like you're concerned that this would push the boundaries even more.
Sir, we are concerned for all storms in all of our major watersheds. This is a particularly challenging situation where we can have repetitive flooding of the community. So again, we're putting our highest level of attention, and we do have the full force of the state of California behind us.
And one more question. I think we've talked about this throughout the whole press conference, but what is being done right now to repair the walls, or at least put a Band-Aid, sandbags, anything that you can do right now to help
That's precisely what we're evaluating at this juncture. Small sandbags are simply not significant mitigation for a breach of this magnitude. So again, we have the experts on site. They are evaluating mitigation and construction alternatives, and we are hopeful that we can begin deploying that in the next several days.
Are there any further questions from the press?
Sheriff, how many people are out of their homes?
We have approximately 1,700 people that are displaced from the Pajaro area. We don't have an exact count down in San Ardo area, about 100, 50? 50 or less in the San Ardo area where we've experienced the flooding.
And if the water keeps flowing, are more people going to be put out? Do we know that?
Again, I can't predict Mother Nature. There's a lot of watersheds that we're dealing with these supersaturation events. Because again, for the public, it may be sunny here, but look around you. You see clouds. If it's raining in our foothills, because of the saturation of the soil, all this water is not going into our soil during normal times. The water is moving down our waterways into our rivers. And we're not talking about just one river. We're dealing with like 4 rivers in Monterey County.
Is the Nixle alert system been working effectively in communicating with the public?
We're actually double checking the Nixle system because there were some concerns that perhaps some alerts were not getting out. So we do ask that folks sign on to the Nixle if they haven't yet, or if they did and for some reason it's not coming through. Our understanding is that it could be something to do with some of the broadband type issues, antenna issues, so we're still tracking that down. But for now, anybody can still sign on and receive those Nixle alerts. It does allow you to receive it by different zip codes, so please do that. And again, it could just be an issue of a data problem in terms of the antennas. Yeah.
I have a question. We've kind of addressed this and we've been through it in January, but when will FEMA get here? The Red Cross, are they coming? I know you guys are working with that. Do you have an estimated time on when they will get here?
Red Cross and FEMA have been here actually. Red Cross is actually at one of our shelters assisting. We're still ramping up quite a bit because we are opening quite a bit of shelters. Even as we speak, not all shelters are currently available. When we're talking numbers of people, 1,700 from just the community of Pajaro is huge, and we have a lot of folks that did go to the Santa Cruz side. So we do have, we're working with our partners to the north, I guess it would be north of us in Santa Cruz to provide some of that assistance. The fairgrounds in Santa Cruz is available, and here in our communities, we're actually trying to open them closer to where the folks are from, and so we're working to staff it. A lot of the folks that you see as emergency disaster workers are our own county employees. We're redeploying people that typically, you know, again, this is a Saturday, Sunday. They're all, as many as we can, we're redeploying and assigning to different locations, including here to the operations center, to make sure that we're able to provide timely information. The next piece is really just going to be to make sure that we have the resources at the shelters, the food, the clothing. A lot of people left their homes just with what they were carrying. So there's some assessment being done by our care and shelter group. And again, still staffing up quite a bit with our resources that are incoming from the state, from the Department of Social Services, and also Office of Emergency Services. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
That ends this press conference. We'll be available for individual questions if you guys could stand by. Thank you.